don't know. But I think it came up part-time, and then those hours kind of social. And then
それでは皆様、これから午後の部を開始いたします。
maybe not to be free.
各会長、並びに日本語の代表者の大臣発表を始めてまいります。代表者の皆様には、ご縁を喜び、お念仏とともにと題して、普段の婦人会活動の様子などをご発表いただきます。それではご発表者をご紹介させていただきます。大会レジュメの24ページから26ページを合わせてご覧ください。日本から山陰教区の大迫いすずさんです。北米海峡区の赤星カレン信子さんです。南米海峡区の梶原美智子さんです。カナダ海峡区のスーザン・ハンザリンさんです。ハワイ海峡区のシンシア・アルノさんです。それでは皆様、お座りください。それでは最初に日本から大迫いすずさんにお願いいたします。大迫様、よろしくお願いいたします。
こんにちは。この度、体験発表をさせていただくご縁を頂戴し、私はこれまでどのような日々を過ごしてきたのであろうかと、普段はそこまで念入りに思い返したこともなかった過去をたどってみました。過ぎし日は足早に過ぎてしまうものですが、忘れ得ぬ思い出も次々と思い起こされ、我ながらその場にいるような感覚に襲われ、思わずお念仏申している自分に気がつきました。と言いますのは、私は今日までどれほど多くのご縁をいただいて生きてきたのかということに気づかされたからです。私は幼い頃、お寺が運営されている幼稚園に通い、そこで仏の子、光の子と聞かされ、いつでもどこでも仏様が見ていらっしゃいますよと言われながら育ちました。夫も浄土真宗の門徒の子として成長し、恵まれた4人の子供たちもお寺の幼稚園に通い、私と同じように仏の子と言われて育てていただきました。現在その子供たちの子供である私の孫はお寺の日曜学校に参加しています。このように仏縁に 恵まれた私どもですが、私がお寺に足を運ぶようになったのは40歳代前半の頃、所属するお寺の坊摩様よりお声をかけていただいて、ご本山で実施された若婦人中央研修会に参加させていただいたのが始まりでした。夫や義母の助けを借りて幼い4人の子供を置いての参加でしたが、この研修会がきっかけとなり、私どものお寺に若婦人会が誕生いたしました。当時の私は浄土真宗についてもっと深く学びたいという気持ちがふつふつと湧き起こっていたのでしょう。しばらくして基礎で募集された連続研修を受講しました。それの12回の研修を得て、本山での門徒推進員中央教習を修了し、門徒推進員にならせていただきました。このことがその後のお寺の活動に常に携わっていく機会となりました。設立当初から関わった女性会の会長にならせていただき、蘇から教区、そして仏教婦人会総連盟会長へとつながって、本日ここにこうして体験発表という重責をいただくことになりました。総連盟会長を拝命するにあたって、お寺のご住職様の私の夫に、彼女が会長になれば彼女を全面的にサポートできますかと念を押されたことが昨日のように思い出されます。総連盟や教区の会合で家を空けることがたびたびありましたが、義母や夫の支えに助けられて本日を迎えることができました。ところでその義母は昨年ちょっとしたつまずきで転び、大腿骨頸部骨折で人工骨頭を入れる手術をいたしました。退院してからは歩行器を使い、段差のあるところには手すりを設置し、介護用ベッドを置き、デイサービスを利用しながらの生活です。ご神教、念仏者の生き方の中に、仏法をよりどころとして生きていくことで、私たちは他者の喜びを自らの喜びとし、他者の苦しみを自らの苦しみとするなど、少しでも仏様のお心にかなう生き方を目指し、精一杯努力させていただく人間になるのですとあります。私は常にこのお言葉を心に刻みながら、義母と共にありたいと思っています。義母は入院している時には毎日洗濯物を取りに病院に来てくれてありがとう。退院して家に帰ってからは掃除やお買い物などいろいろお世話してくれてありがとう。このご恩はどうやって返せばいいのかねと言います。私は孫をよく見ていただいたから、私が恩返しをさせていただいているのですよ。気にされなくて大丈夫と返します。義母は歩行器がなければ歩くことができませんし、日常の生活もどんなにか不自由で難儀な生活を余儀なくされているのかと思いますのに、その思いを超えて私に手を合わせ、ありがとうとねぎらってくれるのです。お仏さんの前で歩行器に体をもたれかけながら づいている義母の後ろ姿を見ていると生かされているという感謝の念が私にも伝わってまいります。昨週仏教と SDGs をテーマにその仏教婦人会連盟研修会がありました。 SDGs 持続可能な開発目標は誰一人取り残さないの理念に17の目標を設定し、国連加盟国が世界規模で取り組んでいる目標です。誰一人取り残さないの理念は浄土真宗の見教えと深く関わりがあります。そしてその目標の3番目にはすべての人に健康と福祉をとあります。これまで苦労してこられた高齢者を大切にしていかなければ、高齢者が安心して過ごせるような社会にならなければと義母の姿を見ながら思わずにはおりません。今私たちの周囲に目を移せば、なかなか収束しないコロナウイルス感染症の恐れや一国の権力者による野心が世界的規模の危機を呼び起こすなど、あらゆる人々の不安が高まっています。そんな中、私たちは共に語り合い、手を取り合ってご一緒に仏様の教えをいただいてまいりましょう。親鸞上人もそのように生きていく私たちにナモアミダ仏と呼びかけてくださっていらっしゃることでしょう。
ありがとうございました。続いて北米海峡区の赤星カレンの子さん、よろしくお願いいたします。
皆様こんにちは。私は赤星信子です。どうぞよろしく。Welcome to the hero from the Senhoras. Aloha. Aloha kako. And lastly, hello everyone. That is the extent of my foreign language skills. I am Karen Akahoshi, and I'm truly honored and humbled to represent the more than 2,250 women of the Buddhist Churches of America. As I look back over the nearly 80 years of my life, I am grateful and humbled by how my life has been guided by the Nembutsu. The path to this realization and gratitude was not a straight or easy one, but rather it took many twists and turns and up and down many paths that were really unexpected. I was born behind barbed wire during World War II in the Minidoka concentration camp in the desert of southern Idaho to Reverend Eiyu and Mitsuko Terao. They were uprooted from their home in Seattle, Washington, with just 72 hours notice to only take the belongings they could carry. The imprint of that trauma that I suffered led me on a journey to heal that pain of humiliation and anger. Within the Japanese American community, we've all suffered from that trauma, whether we realized it or not. Although I have no memory of that traumatic time, I know that it defined who I was until I was 40 years old. The pain of not knowing my true self was greater than the safety of staying silent, so my journey began. I decided to step out of my comfort zone to attend a personal growth retreat, where I had to rappel off of a cliff, traverse over a mountain ravine, and zip line down a mountain. I was by no means athletic. It was done through lots of fear, tears, and shaking knees. Then the Army drill sergeant-like leader that everyone dreaded stood us up 10 at a time on the stage. One by one, we went down the line and looked in our eyes to see if he could see the real me. He looked in my eyes and he passed me. And just as I was about to give a sigh of relief, he turned back around, came up to me and he said, "Karen, quit hiding behind that Japanese mask." Shock and realization unleashed a flood of tears, and I found myself shouting at him, "How dare you? How dare you do this to my family and my people?" Only then did I have the realization, and I actually was hiding behind a Japanese mask, afraid to live beyond who I was supposed to be, the obedient minority child who had to prove that she was as good as white Americans. Then this tough, formidable trainer started crying and pleaded, "Will you ever forgive us?" The healing had begun. I discovered that I had self-limiting beliefs about my capabilities. It has been a lesson for me again and again as I faced more of my life's challenges. When I was 50 years old, I spent 3 days on a vision quest and fast in the desert of Utah with only water to drink. For a person who never misses a meal, it was like committing suicide. I had never pitched a tent before or been out camping by myself. On a Native American reservation, I discovered an ancient abandoned cliff dwelling in a kiva, a sacred room with an altar. I sat in the kiva and meditated during my 3 days of solitude. There, I discovered how brave and resilient was this little girl who was born behind barbed wire. What I found there also in the vast silence and beauty of the vast wilderness, an overwhelming sense of connectedness came over me to all that was, and a profound gratitude for all that had been given to me. Tears of gratitude and Namu Amida Butsu flowed from my lips. How fortunate I was to have been born as Nembutsu as a part of my life from the very beginning. I literally grew up where the temple was a part of our home. After leaving the Minidoka concentration camp, my parents established the Spokane Buddhist Church in our house, where the living room and dining room were converted into a hondo. I couldn't be late for Dharma school because the stairs to our bedroom was right next to the hondo. Today, I am wearing my mother's special monto shikisho for a minister's wife. This embroidered cloth symbolizes membership in a Buddhist Sangha. I'm wearing it to honor my mother, who established the BWA in Spokane, Washington. As a young child, I remember having a tantrum saying, "I'll never become a minister's wife." Because, you see, my mother would often be called away, interrupting what she might have been doing with me. How fortunate I was to have a wonderful role model in my mother. She was a courageous young woman in her early 20s, raising 2 babies behind barbed wire in a concentration camp, not knowing what the future would bring. She selflessly spent her life dedicated to the welfare of the temple and her family. Never once did I hear her complain. She passed away last year at 102 years and continued to live a life of joy and gratitude to the very end. While growing up in Spokane, Washington, we were exposed to the Dharma on a daily basis. We would often call my father's dinner conversations mini sermons or sermonettes. Now that my father is gone, I realize the profoundness of his greatest wish that our family embrace the Nembutsu. Not only did I embrace the Nembutsu, I also married someone who would wear my father's Buddhist robes and continue the work my father began almost a century ago. Life is so full of twists and turns. My husband Kenji left dentistry after 30 years to return to school at the Institute of Buddhist Studies to receive his master's in Buddhism and became the resident minister of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego. During our 55 years of marriage, Kenji has always encouraged me to find my own voice, not to be afraid to be myself without worrying about what other people will think. He has been my biggest cheerleader as I took the time for personal growth retreats and to build my own interior design business. I am grateful that he continues to remind me of the extraordinary legacy that has been given to us, the power of the Nembutsu, and to live a life of gratitude. Now my life has gone full circle. The greatest challenge in my life has been dealing with the death of my beloved son, Kurt, at age 44 from pancreatic cancer. He had such a bright future as a psychotherapist. I felt that perhaps he too might one day become a Buddhist minister as I watched him participate with so much enthusiasm as a speaker at the Techno-Buddhist youth seminars for many years. There are no words to describe the depth of my sorrow and the profound grief that I have felt. It felt like my heart was shattered into a million painful pieces. There is a wonderful Japanese art form called kintsugi, where an artist mends broken pieces of pottery with gold lacquer. The pieces are meticulously mended back together, highlighting the cracks rather than hiding them. Now, 3.5 years later, piece by broken piece, I'm putting back together the pieces of my shattered life. What has been the gold lacquer that has made me whole again? It has truly been the love and support of my husband, my family, my friends, and my community. Like Kisa Gotami, who was sent by the Buddha carrying her dead child to collect mustard seeds from families who had not suffered death, I realized I cannot escape the harsh realities of life. The only thing that helps me not only to survive but thrive is to be grateful that I had such an extraordinary son for 44 years and to know he lives in my heart and in the Nembutsu. Each panelist speaking today has her own unique story. My life's journey has made me aware of how fortunate I am to have been raised in a Jodo Shinshu family where the Nembutsu continues to sustain and enrich my life. In sharing my story, I hope to inspire you to trust your own inner wisdom and strength, guided and supported by the Buddha Dharma. Namo Amida.
ありがとうございました。続いて南米海峡区の梶原美智子さん、お願いいたします。
ご紹介に預かりました梶原美智子です。この度南米海峡区を代表いたしまして 体験発表をさせていただきますこと、誠に身に余る光栄の至りです。この第17回世界仏教婦人大会がご開催、親鸞上人ご誕生850年、並びに立教改修800年共産法要を合わせて開催されましたことは、誠にありがたいご縁と心よりお喜び申し上げます。また、特に2020年3月からコロナ禍パンデミック感染拡大によって世界的に大きな変化が生じ、さらに私たち一人一人の日常生活においても大変困難な状況が長らく続きましたが、そのような厳しい状況の中にもこの大会を企画し開催されましたすべての関係者の皆様へ衷心より厚くお礼を申し上げます。さて、私はサンパウロ国ブラジル国サンパウロ州の北西地方のカフェランジャ市でブラジルで最初の仏教寺院と言われている平安山光明寺で生まれました。父は広島県の田舎の寺院の長男として生まれましたが、仏教大学を卒業後、自母継承を妹に譲り、私の母と結婚して1933年にブラジルへ移住いたしました。移民で渡った両親は文化、言語、習慣、風土、すべての異なるブラジルへ全く無経験の農民として渡泊いたしました。その当時、黄熱病のマラリアによって多くの犠牲者が出ることから、カフェランジャ平野大規模農園の皆さん、特に特進家でありました伊藤助一氏が中心となってお念仏道場が開かれ、その区域を光明村と呼ぶようになったそうです。伊藤氏はそこへ僧侶であった父を呼び寄せ、特に多くのマラリアの犠牲者のご遺族の心のよりどころとなるお念仏の見教えを伝えるご縁、仏事布教を行うように進められました。しかし、それからわずか1年半の1941年11月11日に、父は心臓麻痺で39歳という若さで浄土往生を遂げました。その当時、母は29歳で私を体内に宿していたことで、その翌年の4月に生まれました私は、父とは根性では実際に会うご縁はありませんでした。それから1950年には現在の平安山光明寺が建立され、伊藤助一氏が得道されて、伊藤空心と呼ばれる僧侶としてご活躍くださり、ご門徒とともに光明寺を守ってくださいました。当時8歳であった私にとって、伊藤先生はおじいさんのような存在で、大変可愛がってもらい、幼い私に仏様の見教えを伝えてくださいました。 それから1958年の本願寺第23代御門主様上人の南米第二次ご殉教の際に母も徳道を受式するご縁を賜りました。光明寺です。生まれ育った私は17歳の時、突然大病にかかり、意識不明で生死をさまよう状態になりましたが、お医者様方のおかげによりありがたいことに命を保つことができました。しかし回復までは半年以上病人通いの生活を送りました。その後、大規模農園の皆さんのご理解とご支援によって私は日語学校に勤めることになり、大病を患ったことがあったので、結婚ということなど考えていなかった私に25歳の時、光明寺の役員の皆様とサンパウロ八国別院の皆様の仲人で、当時別院に勤めていた同じく2世の主人と結婚。そして私たちは4人の子供に恵まれました。主人は開教師でありますので、開教総長の人事発令によってあちらこちらへの寺院へ転勤しましたが、どこの寺院でも日語と日曜学校を開催することによって地元の皆さんの子どもたちへ仏様の御教えを伝えるご縁を賜りました。そのようなご縁によって私たちの子どもたちのうち次男は主人と同じように開教師として南米開教教団本部に勤めさせていただいております。他の3人の子どもたちは僧侶としての道は進んでいませんが、お寺とのご縁は大切にしてくれております。これも母がいつも言ってくれていたように、すべて大事大悲の親様とご先祖のおかげであると主人と共に喜び語り合います。私が初めて訪日させていただいたのは1998年の蓮如上人500回忌第4期法要に合わせて大阪で開催された第11回世界仏教婦人大会のご縁でした。それからはハワイ大会とカナダ大会に主人と娘親子3人で参加させていただき、この度は同じように私たち3人とそして次男夫婦も一緒に参加させていただくことができたありがたいご縁となりました。そして私も主人も3世代のご門主様方とお会いできたことを本当にありがたく存じ、もったいない気持ちでいっぱいです。これもすべてご先祖や両親から受け継がれたお念仏のご縁、そして生涯弔問させていただきながら、嬉しい時も悲しい時もどんな時でもすべてのご縁を喜び、お念仏とともに残り少ない人生を一日一日大切に過ごさせていただいている今日この頃です。以上をもちまして私の拙い体験発表を終わらせていただきます。
南米海峡区藤原美智子様でした。ありがとうございました。続きまして、カナダ海峡区のスーさん、海峡区さん、よろしくお願いいたします。
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist Temples of Canada, I bring heartfelt greetings from the Canadian district of Kyoto. My name is Susan Sueko Huntley, and it is a privilege and honor to speak in front of such an esteemed audience. So my grandparents came to Canada over a century ago, and both my parents were born in Canada, so I'm very proud to say that I'm a third-generation Japanese-Canadian, or Sansei. Despite early hardships, the Takeda family dedication and commitment to Jodo Shinshu Buddhism has been passed from generation to generation. Although I grew up in a predominantly Mormon community, my family attended the Raymond Buddhist Temple and never lost the traditional teachings and practices. I'm proud to say that many family members are active in several Canadian temples to this day. Personally, I am currently a member of the Calgary Buddhist Temple in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and fortunate to have been active with the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist Temples of Canada Women's Federation for over 20 years, including being a past president. In 2015, I was honored to be the chairperson of the 15th World Buddhist Women's Convention, which was held in Canada. So I'd like to take a moment to express sincere gratitude to the many people involved in putting on this year's 17th World Buddhist Women's Convention. It's wonderful to see how the convention is able to showcase the strength and the resilience of Buddhist women, and my hope is that it will inspire future generations. So Life of Nembutsu enables us to appreciate every encounter is the theme of this year's convention, and I'm grateful to be able to share my thoughts with you. Life is filled with countless encounters, both good and bad, and it is often our reactions that determine the course of our lives. The practice of Nembutsu enables us to appreciate every encounter, whether it's positive or negative, and to find the wisdom and compassion that is inherent. This is particularly applicable in today's world, where we are faced with unprecedented challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected every aspect of our lives, including the way we interacted with others. In Canada, the pandemic made it challenging to appreciate every encounter, as we had to distance ourselves from one another in order to slow the spread of the virus. The temples were required to implement various measures to ensure the safety of the congregations and comply with government guidelines. The restrictions made it difficult to connect with one another and left many feeling isolated and alone. Temples were required to close their doors for almost 2 years, but made adjustments and tried to adapt to the ever-changing situation. Some temples in Canada made regular phone calls to check up on the older temple members, which helped to make them feel less isolated. The use of technology became vital as temple services were offered via live streaming or recording and watched over social media platforms. People gathered virtually for services and to listen to Dharma talks via computer, tablet, and mobile devices. Meetings, workshops, and presentations such as virtual meditation, online classes in Buddhism, climate change, and general interest topics moved to an online platform where possible. Spiritual support and guidance, while ensuring personal connections and safety, became a top priority. During this time, the practice of Nembutsu served as a reminder of the strength and compassion of our communities. It served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, we are capable of coming together to support one another. The pandemic brought out the best in many, as demonstrated by the countless acts of kindness and equanimity or calmness. A new normal emerged as the pandemic pushed everyone into unfamiliar territory, but there were some positives that came to pass from a temple perspective. Temples have had to become more technology savvy and have moved to multimedia platforms as well as expanded their social media presence. Cameras, sound systems, and special equipment have been purchased in order to offer services to a wider, diverse audience. Conducting online donation campaigns became possible, and even being able to participate in virtual volunteer activities. I lost my place for a minute. Today, we work towards innovation. Sorry. Well, you didn't have to translate that. Today, we work towards innovation in order to nurture and sustain our Sangha in health and mindfulness. By going virtual, our ability to share the Buddha Dharma with more people increased as the internet opened us up into a whole new, broader audience. The opportunity to attend online services and listen to the teachings without leaving the house has made Buddhism more accessible. We've even offered hybrid services, which are both in-person and live-streamed, and it's widely accepted. Online presentations and meetings continue to be recognized options and provide a convenience society never had before. In addition, we are reminded that we are not alone in our struggles and that we are part of something greater than ourselves. We are reminded that we are all connected and that every encounter is an opportunity for growth and learning. Globally, COVID highlighted one of the key teachings of Nembutsu, which is that we are all interconnected. We are all connected by the bonds of cause and effect, and our actions have a ripple effect on the world around us. By connecting with the wisdom and boundless compassion of the Buddha, we are able to see the interconnectedness of all things and to understand that our actions have a profound effect on the world. When we practice Nembutsu, we are also reminded that everything is impermanent, that everything is constantly changing. Nembutsu is not only a practice that connects us to the wisdom and compassion of the Buddha, but it also connects us to each other. Through the practice of Nembutsu, we learn to approach every encounter with an open heart and an open mind. We learn to see the Buddha in all things and to find the wisdom and compassion that is inherent in every encounter. This allows us to live a life that is filled with gratitude and joy, no matter what challenges we may face. My father, if he was alive today during the COVID pandemic, might say "shigata ganai," which is a phrase used to express acceptance in the face of unavoidable circumstance or situation. It is similar in meaning to "it can't be helped." The phrase often reflects a cultural perspective that values resilience and determination in the face of difficulties. In practical terms, it suggests a willingness to move forward and find solutions rather than dwelling on problems or the negative. As we gather here today at the 17th World Buddhist Women's Convention, let us reflect and be grateful to live a life of Nembutsu, which enables us to appreciate every encounter, to find meaning and purpose in every moment, and to live a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment. Thank you for your kind attention. Namo Amida Butsu.
ありがとうございました。
deixar inteira.
カナダ海峡区のスーザン・ハテンさんでした。それでは最後になります。ハワイ海峡区のシンシア・アリナさん、よろしくお願いいたします。
It is an honor to be here with you today. My life has been enriched by Buddhist teachings, the kindness of our ministers, and the life lessons shared by members of the Buddhist Women's Association, or BWA. It is with deep gratitude that I offer these reflections. Recently, I was asked, when did you become a Buddhist? In truth, I have always thought of myself as Buddhist because my family is Buddhist. We are descendants of Japanese nationals who came to work in Hawaii on sugar plantations more than 100 years ago. In 1881, Hawaiian King David Kalakaua traveled by ship to Japan. It was his first stop on a worldwide tour. He met with Emperor Meiji and encouraged immigration of Japanese agricultural workers to Hawaii. The voyage by ship from Japan to Hawaii took several weeks. Although I do not know all of the hardships that my ancestors endured on the ship and on the sugar plantations, I know that they encountered difficulties and that Jodo Shinshu teachings were important to them. One of my early memories is of my grandmother asking me to place an offering of the first portion of freshly cooked rice on her home altar, ringing the small bell, putting my hands together in gassho, and saying Namo Amida Butsu. At the time, I didn't understand anything about Buddhist teachings. When I was older, my mother and I would stand at our home altar expressing gratitude for each beautiful day. My mother was an elementary school teacher on weekdays, and on Sundays she taught Dharma school. We attended services at a small branch temple within walking distance from our home. I learned about the Eightfold Path, recited the Golden Chain of Love, sang gathas, but I didn't intentionally practice what I had learned. It was not until my own daughters were adults and I joined the BWA that I began a journey to a deeper understanding of living the life of Nembutsu. One of my first activities as a BWA member was learning how to make tsukemono, deliciously preserved vegetables to be served as part of a meal. At Hawaii Betsuen, an annual tradition has been the selling of tsukemono as a fundraiser. Our teacher was the BWA member who made tsukemono. She was in her 80s and wanted to show others how she made tsukemono so that we could continue the tsukemono making tradition. To document the activity, I wrote an article for our temple newsletter. When I showed our teacher the article, She thanked me and gently asked me to change a few things, to include in the article her gratitude to the many people who helped her for many years. The man who donated the vegetables and the many BWA volunteers who helped her. She said it took many people working together to make the tsukemono, and that she was grateful for all of the help. In this small encounter, she taught me about interdependence, gratitude, and kindness. Being grateful seems simple. It's easy to be grateful for things that make us happy or give us comfort. We can appreciate acts of kindness, words of encouragement, a friendly smile. What I have learned, however, is that gratitude is most needed when it is most difficult to be grateful. When I feel afraid or sad or confused, or when I feel intentionally harmed or treated unfairly, it is almost impossible to feel grateful. The negative thoughts are profoundly unsettling. However, when I look for something to be grateful for, as difficult as it might be, then a negative encounter becomes a positive one, a lesson learned and appreciated, and a once-in-a-lifetime moment treasured. 3 years ago, in March 2020, a statewide stay-at-home order was issued by the governor of the state of Hawaii to try to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Schools and businesses were closed. Churches, temples, and synagogues were closed. Only essential activities such as obtaining health care and buying groceries were allowed. Our lives were severely disrupted. There was uncertainty and fear. In June 2020, BWA members were invited to share reflections on their initial experience during the stay-at-home period. Activities such as walking in their neighborhood, exercising at home, gardening, creating art, singing gathas, writing poetry, and folding origami frames gave them joy and helped them during that challenging time. Pets were playful companions and brought comfort. Saying the Nembutsu, reciting the 3 treasures and the golden chain of love, also sustained them. Upon learning that healthcare workers needed face masks, BWA volunteers sewed and donated more than 5,000 face masks. Appreciating the pandemic as an unrepeatable experience, focusing on gratitude, helping others, and sharing understandings such as we can make the most of each precious moment, strive to live each day well, Ichigo, Ichie. These are BWA examples of daily living. Ichigo, Ichie. Treasure each unrepeatable moment. I first heard these words, Ichigo, Ichie, several years ago. A beautiful song with the title Ichigo, Ichie was composed and performed by a Hawaiian ukulele virtuoso. The words have greater meaning now that I am older and that I have been a caregiver for elderly family members. Life is impermanent. Each moment is to be treasured. A few months ago, in the early evening, I sat quietly next to my aunt, one of my mother's two surviving younger sisters. We watched from my aunt's window as children and parents in the playground enjoyed the end of the day. My aunt has dementia. She cannot remember how many children I have, or even my name. But she can still sing Ondoku-san and recite the Nembutsu. Each person is appreciated. Every moment is joyful. Women have had a significant role in supporting and carrying forward Shinran Shonin's teachings, starting with his wife, Ishini, and daughter, Kakushini. The women in my own life, including many BWA members, have taught me about the life of Nembutsu by their examples of daily living and by sharing their stories. In Hawaii, mahalo means thank you, and aloha means hello, goodbye, and love. It is an expression of deep personal connection. Mahalo BWA members, and aloha. As a final note, my grandmother's home altar is still in use. It has been moved several times, from an old plantation home to a newly built family home to a condominium apartment and to a senior citizen home where my mother's two sisters now reside. My parents are now deceased, and the home altar that was in their home is now in my home. Namo Amida Butsu, the Nembutsu, has always been guiding and nurturing us. My sincere appreciation on this unrepeatable day of the 17th World Buddhist Women's Association. Arigatou gozaimasu.
ありがとうございました。ご発表いただきました皆様、本当にありがとうございました。もう一度ご紹介いたします。念仏とともに人生を歩まれたお話をお伺いしました。感慨深く私も生かされていることを感謝を忘れてはならないなと改めて感じたところでございます。ありがとうございました。それでは総会の準備をいたしますので、もうしばらくお待ちください。
Well, you can do a 5-minute presentation. These slides. Yeah. These slides. Yeah, 4 or 5. But it is a little bit more interesting. I think it's their
Secretary General, please come up to the stage. Thank you.
Janet. You two have to go off the stage.
Why?
You're representing
BCA Secretary General, please come up to the stage.
Jodo Shinshu 本来には世界仏教婦人会連盟総会を開催いたします。各国連盟の代表の方を事務局より紹介します。
はい、それではまず本部であります仏教婦人会総連盟から紹介いたします。世界仏教婦人会連盟会長であります仏教婦人会総連盟佐原孝子会長です。仏教婦人会世 界仏教婦人会連盟副会長であります井上智子副会長、同じく椎名会議副会長でございます。それから世界仏教婦人会連盟森野雅子幹事、同じく児玉典子幹事でございます。続いてハワイ海峡区のハワイ本波仏教婦人会連盟から永井凛太さん、浜本千代さんです。北米海峡区の米国仏教団婦人会連盟からはペギー岡林さん、梅津大地さんです。梅津大地さん、カナダ海峡区カナダ仏教婦人会連盟からは浅野純さん、高崎舞田さんです。最後になりますが、南米海峡区の南米仏教婦人会連盟からは土井京子さん、そして酒井恵子さんです。以上、紹介を行います。よろしくお願いします。
それでは世界仏教婦人会連盟代表者会議の報告に移ります。前回の大会以降、2021年度と2022年度は新型コロナウイルスの影響で集まっての開催ができず、オンラインで開催いたしました。また2023年度の会議は昨日開催いたします。合わせて報告いたします。
私からは2021年度、2022年度の代表者会議の報告をさせていただきます。まず、2021年度は、2021年9月24日、日本時間の午前5時から8時にオンラインにて開催されました。協議内容といたしまして、まず1番目に、第17回世界仏教婦人会大会について、大会本部日本より、テーマ、開催趣旨、期日、会場、日程、その他、募集内容について、報告及び協議を行いました。また、合わせて、体験発表者の依頼を各支部に報告いただくよう依頼いたしました。続きまして、2番目には、コロナによるオンライン会議のため、ぜひとも2022年にもう一度臨時代表者会議の開催をしたいという旨の追加審議を行いました。京都にて2022年5月に開催したい旨、なおコロナの感染症の状況によってはオンライン開催を認めるという報告がなされました。続きまして、3番目に第18回次回の世界仏教婦人会大会の開催地について追加審議となりました。南米海峡からのちょっと開催が難しいとの報告を受け、第18回世界仏教婦人会大会の開催地としてハワイ海峡区が担当することが議決されました。2021年は以上です。2022年度の報告をいたします。2022年5月17日、日本時間の午前9時から10時50分 同じくオンラインにて開催されました。議題としましては、1番目に第17回世界仏教婦人会大会について日本よりその内容が報告され、また各種類より体験発表者並びに参加人数の2月までの報告がされました。その際に意見、質問等がたくさん寄せられました。続きまして2番目に第18回世界仏教婦人会大会についてハワイより2027年の9月11、12日にホノルルにて開催の準備を進めているという報告がございました。3番目に交換学生プログラム派遣中止について日本より報告がなされ、時代の流れとともに本プログラムの参加希望がない状態が続いており、その現状を踏まえて日本からの派遣は中止とすることにしたい。ただし、大気教区からの学生は引き続き仏教婦人会総連盟で受け入れるという報告がなされております。以上でございます。
私からご報告させていただきます。今回の世界大会に合わせて、今月の10日、大谷泉総裁様ご臨席のもと、世界仏教婦人会連盟代表者会議を京都の東急ホテルにて開催いたしました。こちらでの内容をご報告させていただきます。内容といたしましては、前回の臨時代表者会議の議事録を全員で確認いたしました。新型コロナウイルスの影響を受ける中、各国の創意工夫された仏教婦人会活動の報告をいただきました。特にオンラインを活用した大会や研修会開催が進んでいる状況でございます。またコロナのパンデミックによりハワイでは食事の取り扱いが非常に厳しく制限される中でも、ハワイ海峡区仏教婦人会ではホームレスの方々への食事の配送等にも活発に参加をされ、寄付も同時に行ったこと、またホームレスの方々への食事の配達は今後も継続していかなければならない大切なプロジェクトと考えているというご報告を受けました。議題といたしましては、第17回世界仏教婦人会大会の大会宣言について、また4年後の第18回世界仏教婦人会大会について、そしてその後8年後第19回世界仏教婦人会大会についての話し合いも行われました。大会宣言については承認されました宣言に後ほど発表させていただきます。4年後の第18回世界仏教婦人大会開催日、開催場所について承認されましたのでご報告いたします。開催日は2027年9月11日、12日、ハワイコンベンションセンターにて開催予定です。アルマスキリストとお念仏の温かい心を持ってお迎えいただけることをハワイ海峡区よりお話しいただきました。8年後の第19回世界仏教婦人会大会については代表者会議で担当する地区を協議しているところでございます。まだ決定は至っておりません。以上で私からの報告をさせていただきます。
それではただいまの深夜副会長からの報告にもありましたように、代表者会議によって承認されました大会宣言を読み上げます。第17回世界仏教婦人会大会宣言。新しい感染症の世界的流行の中、親鸞上人ご誕生850年、立教改宗800年共産法要をご承縁として、ここに共に出会えたことに感謝いたします。阿弥陀如来はすべての人々の幸せを願ってくださいます。そのお心を仰ぐ私たちは、人々が平和に暮らせるよう、互いの命の多様性を尊重し、物と心の貧困を克服することに努めてまいります。それぞれの国の実情、地域の課題を念仏者として担い歩んでいくことを、大会終了にあたり宣言いたします。ただいまの大会宣言をこの総会での決議事項として採択いただきたく、よろしくお願いいたします。ありがとうございます。皆様のご賛同により、ただいまの大会宣言は採択されました。この大会宣言にのっとり、世界仏教婦人会連盟として今後もそれぞれの地域において活動に励み、お念仏を喜ぶ場が広がることを願っております。以上で第17回世界仏教婦人会大会総会を終了いたします。
Oh no, it's the television closing. Yeah. You know when you're saying the yeah, because I think somebody, like just like a better box or something, right.
以上で総会を終了いたします。続きまして開会式に移ります。準備をいたしますので、もうしばらくお待ちください。Please remain seated as the closing ceremony will begin shortly.
Você é só aceita tomar uma.
Yeah, no,